mention freedom camping to most New Zealand locals and you probably won't get a coherent nor a happy response. At least we never did when we asked. So, what is freedom camping? Now, according to the New Zealand Freedom Camping Act of 2011, of which I have a copy of one page here, then the definition of freedom camping is as follows, and I'm going to quote this for you. In this act, freedom camping means to camp, other than at a camping ground, within 200 metres of a motor vehicle accessible area or within the mean low water spring tide of any sea or harbour, or within 200 metres of a formed road or greater walker's track, using one or more of the following: A tent or other temporary structure, B, a caravan, C, a car, camper van, house truck, or other motor vehicle. So, what does this mean? Well, basically, summing this act up, it means that you're allowed to camp in a car or temporary structure or tent within 200 metres of any road on public land. You cannot freedom camp on private land unless you get the owner's permission, as this is illegal. But whilst you're freedom camping, you will not have access to a shower, toilet, fresh water supply, or a bin. Now, at first glance, this act seems like a pretty simple one to follow. However, due to the negative behaviour of a few people, tourists and locals, may I remind you, then freedom camping is sometimes seen as quite negative when you mention it to most in New Zealand. And here's a few points why. Number one, you're only allowed to freedom camp if there are no signs like these by the place that you're going to freedom camp, or if there's no bylaws preventing you from doing so. Obviously, if you freedom camp where these signs are in place or there's a bylaw, then you're doing it illegally. However, some people just choose to ignore this. Number two, now this is probably the most important reason of why it's seen quite negatively. Due to you having no facilities like toilets or fresh water supply, then some freedom camping sites are often ruined by freedom campers. By this I mean that due to there being no bins, they chuck rubbish all over the floor, they go to the toilet wherever they feel like, and also go and have a bath or a shower in the lakes using shampoo and ruining the environment. Now, I need to remind you here that it's not just tourists that do it, it's the locals as well, and we've seen it. However, it's often the tourists that are blamed for making these sites so awful and environmentally bad. Number three, now some rural towns in New Zealand get a massive influx of travellers, especially during the summer months, and thus the local facilities like toilets and showers often can't cope with the number of people and are overpopulated and understaffed, and you can see where this is going. And number four, some people do like to party loud, and drink as well. And this is fine if you don't do it in your own home or somewhere where you're not going to disturb anyone. But if you do it whilst you're freedom camping, then it's more than likely you're going to annoy the hell out of the locals and you're going to be seen as a very bad person. Now, having a self-contained vehicle, one with a toilet and its own water supply, often gives you more of a leeway when it comes to freedom camping because you're more self-contained and thus not ruining the environment as much, or so they see it that way. And also some campsites only allow you to freedom camp if you have a self-contained vehicle. But if you know the rules of where you're freedom camping in, you know the area and there's no signs or laws preventing you from freedom camping, and as long as you clean up after yourself environmentally and leave absolutely no trace that you were there, including things like fire pits and rubbish, then you should be absolutely fine. Also, don't forget that there are quite a few free campsites all around New Zealand if that's your aim to not pay for accommodation whilst you're here. If you download simply either the Campermate app or you go into your local iSite and ask, they'll be able to tell you where the free campsites are, also where the freedom camping is permitted and what areas they're allowed or not allowed in. So if you make sure you always go there and check the app, you should be absolutely fine. Coming soon, there will be some of our personal experiences about freedom camping in videos such as is freedom camping safe and can you camp in a rest stop? Have you ever freedom camped in New Zealand? What's your experience been like? Have you even ever got fined for freedom camping? Let us know your stories down in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe for more videos such as these, and we'll see you next time.